Hello everybody, this is Jeffrey GT7 and welcome to the episode. In this episode we get ourselves a double swap BMW episode. So I'll be covering the BMW C4 that was released back in update 1.56 with its swap build. And after we get done with this car, we're actually going to switch gears and do a car that was requested for me to run from a user from GT Planet, which is going to be the classic BMW 3.0 CSL. Now for both these cars, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. For the BMW C4, you can actually get this car at the used car dealership or at Brand Central right now. And then for the classic BMW CSL, which I'm about to show you in a couple seconds, that particular car you can get at the used car dealership as well. Now, unfortunately, this particular car here you see on screen is not in the used car dealership. It was in the dealership like yesterday, 2 days ago, but unfortunately, the 1971 version is at the used dealership. But for this one, it's a 73. So unfortunately, it's not there. But hopefully, you did manage to grab it before it's sold out. And if not, then hopefully it will come back into the game pretty recently. But I think both builds are going to be decently good. Now, if for some reason these two builds don't do too well for you personally at Tokyo Expressway, as I have basically said in the last couple episodes, just save the cars and just use them for Le Mans, because both cars should be pretty big at Le Mans, being very competitive and being pretty much dominant in that race format. So without no further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into the episode. So after I describe where to find the cars, we're going to first go through the swap for the CSL. As you guys can see, we are going to be first focused on the wide body, which is going to cost about 50,000 credits. Just a minor purchase. We're going to do that. Go ahead and try to reduce some of that PP that's in the car. But also, with that wide body, it makes the car a bit more aggressive, has that race car look from the 70s. Now, here's the swap itself. It's actually the Group 3 C4 engine swap. And as you can see, it does a really big buffs to this car. Now, you do gain some weight from the swap, but apart from that, this swap overall should really bring this car to life. Now, let's say if you're not yet level 50 and you can't buy this engine, if you're a couple levels off, that's totally fine. I'll show you an alternative way of how to get a swap. So let's imagine you do want to know how to get this engine. Just simply go to your garage, and through the garage you can see this is where you keep your engines you win in the game. Either by getting 6-star tickets or just getting tickets from the extra menus. Now, for example, let's use this engine swap right here. Now, in order for you to tell you that you have the engine swap, the test color will be about that color. So think of a periwinkle color, maybe not as bright, but maybe a little bit faded periwinkle color on this particular test bar. And on the top right, where my cursor is swaying back and forth, would be the work of Apple. When you see that, click on it, say yes twice, and just like that, you'll be able to use a free voucher swap engine that you have collected in the game without having to be level 50 or use credits. If you want to learn some more about how it works and want a better example, just click on the field right there on the top right of the screen. After that, let's go ahead and go through both liveries. If you guys want to follow me in the game, there's my profile, Jeffrey GT7YT. That way, if you do some of my videos and would like to basically copycat the liveries I do share in episodes, then you can do that. So here's the first livery that I'll be sharing. It's going to be this particular BMW race livery for the CSL, and it looks really sharp and really good in this car. If you want to know the hashtags, there they are in the top left corner. Just search up the livery and you'll be good to go. Now let's go ahead and scroll down, way further down into the list, and I'm going to show you guys the C4 livery I have for this car. And you can just see we got a good many liveries here and there and pictures and stuff. I'm trying to carefully make sure I don't overdo it and not miss that particular livery, but it's going to be pretty soon. You'll see it. There it is right there. It's going to be on the left side by Haro GT, who also does a really good job on liveries. If you want to check out this particular livery, there's the hashtags as well, or as always, I do have this in my news feed, so you should be able to have access to it if you do follow me in the game. But this is a pretty simple, sweet racing livery in my opinion for this car. Alright, so let's say if you would rather have the parts from car customization rather than the livery, that's totally fine. I'll share with you that right now. So let's go ahead and switch gears back to the 73 CSL, and we're going to show you the parts from the wheels all the way to the roll cage. So start off with the wheels. It's going to be standard wheels, and just make sure the offset is set to wide, and that's it for the wheels. Moving now to the custom parts. Wing is going to be the only thing you'll fix. Just keep it standard as is, and you'll be good to go on the wing. There's the look at the wing list and the custom wing set if you're curious. And then for the race items, roll cage type C, and you'll be good to go. That's all the parts you need from car customization, and yeah, pretty simple. Now for the build, here's a quick snap pack or pick of the build. If you want to go ahead, pause the episode, and just copy down the numbers, you're more welcome to do so. And then for the other part of the list, same thing. If you want to make sure to just pause the episode, make sure you have all the parts that are installed into the car, and you'll be good to go from that point. Now, if you're curious on what this car is capable of doing at Tokyo Expressway, I would say there actually is a couple benefits to this car, despite it being pretty much very old compared to the rest of the field. So, as you may notice, the fuel is really good, so you do not need to worry about with any fuel whatsoever. However, we still need to make a scheduled pit stop since we got ourselves in sport medium tires. The car is going to be a bit on the oversteer side, just a little bit. So what we recommend doing is either turn on traction control, or you can turn on ASM, which is pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, which is Active Stability Management, which will help the car keep it from spinning out. I know some people may not be a big fan of having their car a little bit on the loose side or a little bit on the oversteery free side in the back. So if you're one of these type of drivers that are not too keen on having a loose rear bumper feel or a light rear bumper feel, like you see the car is slightly drifting, then I would recommend just turn on traction control and just go a step further and just put on ASM, and you should be good from doing that. But the car is decent. I mean, it's not the best car that you can offer for this track, so we're kind of further back in the grid than we're accustomed to. We are going to be within the top 6 to top 5 once we get the first lap complete, so it's not too bad. But having that great Group 3 race engine, you expect more from the car. But I guess it's because of how the car is shaped, and given that the car is pretty old, that's probably why the reasons that the car is not really close to the rest of the field. And plus, we really weren't able to really have any access to change the downforce on the car as well. As you may have noticed, both the front and the rear downforce were both locked, so that's probably another good reason as well. So, which is quite a little bit disappointing, but despite that, we're going to get ourselves a decently good run on the Porsche and move ourselves into the top 6 as we complete our first lap. Now, we did manage to catch up with the leader, which was great, but it won't be until later in the stint on lap number 4. So let's go ahead and fast forward. You can see we have come closer to the race leader, and in this point of the race, the car actually felt a bit better to drive. We actually hit purple on lap 2, and on this particular lap, we're actually hitting purple right now in this lap. Easily made a pass for the lead. We actually were able to basically get away from the rest of the pack. Fast forward to lap number 8. This is going to be our one and only pit stop. Now for this pit stop here, surprisingly, I'm actually going to be more concerned with the tires than with fuel. Fuel, we're going to be A-okay with the whole entire race. With it being a Group 3 engine, fuel is pretty much something you don't need to worry about whatsoever. Tires, however, you can see they were basically pretty much well worn, so I did change tires and went back on our way. So we're going to fast forward to lap 11. It's going to be our hot lap for the racetrack, so I really encourage you guys to just watch this lap, see what the car is capable of doing, and then I'll see you guys when we get done with our first race. Alright, so we finish up that hot lap. It's going to be a mid 209, not too bad for this car. We're going to get the race done at 26:40. So, like I mentioned before, not the fastest car, but it actually is a pretty decent car overall. But like I mentioned before, with this particular car, I think Le Mans might be the overall better pick for that track than this track. But if you want to give it a shot in the Tokyo Expressway, you're more welcome to do so. Got ourselves that clean race bonus, and that's going to be it for race number 1. So let's now go ahead and switch gears to the C4. Here's the setup. So for the rims, BBS RE-V7. Make sure you follow along those wheel settings. After that, here are the parts you'll need from car customization. Type A front bumper, which actually looks pretty nice on the car overall. After you get this installed, the next part is optional if you want it on the car. It's going to be the side. It's going to be standard if you want it to be on the car. You could put type A or type B. It's up to you if you want it. After that, we're going to focus on the rear. It's going to be type B, which actually should improve your PP overall. Not to mention, but it should make the car feel pretty decently good to drive to in the corners, having that rear diffuser on the car as well. For the wing, it's going to be set to custom wing set. Doesn't matter what kind of height you have on it or what kind of end plate, as long as you have it set to custom wing set. And then for optional piece, the car originally did not have a roll bar, but I would say just go ahead and just put it on the car anyway, and it might help out around the corners. So after that, here's our look at the build itself, and just like we did with the first build, you want to go ahead and just pause the episode and just go through the numbers and make sure everything aligns right. Starting off with the downforce, the ECU, the power restrictor, all that stuff. Make sure you get all of it together. Same thing for the other part of the page. To make sure you just have the medium RPM turbocharger on the car. Weight reduction stages 1, 2, and 3. Increased vibration and steering angle adapter. That way you won't be able to miss any parts that's involved with the car. So for this particular run, I think this car overall is going to feel a little bit more better than the classic 73 car. Now, even though our engine is not on good on the fuel mileage like it was in the first race, I think the car itself has a bit more speed, which is something that's pretty crucial, especially in this race. As a matter of fact, we're actually gaining some spots right now compared in the previous race. So you should be within the top 10 when you get through your first break point, hopefully. We're going to get some slipstream from the Jaguar, get ourselves P10, and we're going to just basically brake, going to be side by side, make a move, and going to be carefully negotiate around the corner, being side by side with the Mercedes-Benz, get ourselves P9, and just keep our way through the front. So, like I said before, the car does feel a bit better around the corners, so hopefully this car itself will help you a lot, especially in the corners, to get more experience and get more confidence in this car. Now I would say that particular corner we did pass through before entering that first overpass, it's going to be awkwardly tight for some reason. Other than that, the car should feel pretty smooth overall around the racetrack. As you can see, we're within P8 right now, but with these upcoming corners we should be able to cut some of that deficit on both the race leader and on some of these drivers as well. It's just knowing and just being able to give that full trust to the car. That's the main thing about this car, because even though it does have a pretty nice turbo engine, it actually feels a little bit on the slow side, especially for the acceleration points, but for top speed it's pretty decently good. As we get to that very tricky hairpin, we're going to watch out and avoid this blue Impreza, which make a spot for 7th place. We're going to give a little love tap to the Porsche, get ourselves P6, or try to at least get back on the power just a little bit early than I would like to. Got ourselves P6, so not too bad of a move, making a double overtake as we approach that last hairpin, which is always tricky. We're going to get ourselves a little bit of a tow from the red GTR, which is going to help us a lot. Actually, the red GTR is being held up by the older gen Imprezas. We get our first lap. That's going to be a mid-tier 222.2. And as we get through the tunnel, it's going to be held up again by the older generation Supra, and we're going to get ourselves P3. So this race looks a bit more promising than the first race, and you can see that the car does in fact have some decently good speed as we're about to reach 190 miles per hour as we end up the first breaking point. So as we get a bit further down the line in this race, fast forward to lap 3, and we have actually found ourselves in the clutches of the race leader. So we've actually have got one lap earlier catching the race leader than we did with the CSL. As we approach to the hairpin, we're going to give it almost a little bit of a love tap, almost, just like we did with the Porsche earlier. But we're going to be pretty close to the NSX, which is pretty crucial since we're close enough to get that lovely slipstream from the NSX. So here we are, close enough. The margin's going to come down pretty quickly very soon. And as we have the slipstream engaged, we're also going to go ahead and get ourselves a little bit of a slingshot and get ourselves the race lead away from the Honda NSX. And thankfully, from that point on, we actually did manage to basically stay with the Honda, even though we still have the threat of the Honda coming back right at us in that first turn, which is really nothing to worry about. But as we approach this first corner, we're going to brake, and you can see there it is right again, right in front of us, which is quite a little bit of annoying, but we do know that our favorite sector is coming up, and we should be able to hopefully get the lead and run away with it. As we go down the hill, passing that first 2 turns, we're going to get ourselves another slipstream from the NSX, and this time around we're going to try our best to get closer to that left side of the wall. The car gets awkwardly tight for some reason in that corner, so just watch out for that one particular corner. You might have to give it a brake a little bit. Hopefully that helps it a little bit. We're going to send it in this corner and officially grab the lead away from the Honda. Fast forward to lap number 8. We're going to come in pit road and get ourselves a refuel, and that's going to be it. The tires are still in good shape, so you shouldn't really have to worry about too much on the tires. It's going to be just for fuel you're going to worry about in this particular race, unlike the first race. We're going to fill up past 50% is what I recommend doing. Probably 53, 54 at the most should be a good safe barrier, and just do a couple more time trial laps, and that's going to be it for Tokyo Expressway. So as we're about to finish up this race, lap 11 is going to be our official hot lap for this race, so I really encourage you guys to watch this hot lap, and then I'll see you guys when we get to the end of the race. Alright, so as we get to the end of the race done, it's going to be a 26:38. So surprisingly, we are about 2 seconds faster with this car than we were with the CSL. So if you think about it, if we didn't have to pit with this particular car, we probably could have done maybe a 26:8, 26:10 overall, which isn't too bad. So got ourselves that standard bonus since we made contact, and that's going to be it for the episode. So here is a quick preview of the next episode, and actually we're going to take a break from Tokyo Expressway, and we're going to head back to Sardinia for the first time with the PS5. So I actually had 2 request builds. One was the Volkswagen VGT Group 3 race car. The other suggestion was the RCR Civic Garage car. I tried one race and for some reason it did not work well with me, so I actually have a nice alternative, and it's going to be using the McLaren MP44 updated build with this car. So I'm looking forward to do both builds. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the episode, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like. If you want to check out my other content, there they are right there. And if you guys enjoyed the episode, like to see some more content, then you're more welcome to subscribe. That way you can be posted when my videos do drop, or just be posted with my updates. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of the day or night, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.